Welcome to day 2 of Rally Sweden. This is an event that's notoriously tricky, and this year warm weather has made the rally more treacherous than ever. Chris Atkinson was the first to suffer, slamming through a melting snowbank, beaching the car and losing over 15 minutes. But the most surprising casualty came in stage 4, as Sebastian Loeb caught a wheel in the soft snow and flipped his C4. In the process, he beached the car and damaged the clutch and the engine trying to escape. Desperate repairs at the remote service proved futile as the world champion was forced to retire on the road section soon after, but he will restart today under Super Rally rules. Local hero PG Anderson was the next to go. The engine on his Suzuki SX4 losing power, bringing PG's rally to an early end. But there were no such problems for the Fords. Jari-Matti Latvala made good use of a later starting position to blast through the cleared stages and take the lead. He never looked back, winning 6 out of 8 stages. His senior teammate Mikko Hirvonen could only look on in admiration at his fellow Finn's times. Mikko starts today in second, over 48 seconds behind Latvala. Henrik Solberg was another Scandinavian driver to shine in these tricky conditions. He took third after Loeb's mistake, but even he came close to disaster. He survived and starts today just 8 seconds behind Hirvonen, but he's clearly not expecting to be told to back off.
Is there any chance that Malcolm Wilson might tell you to back off to make sure that his boys get there?
No, he will never do, and he cannot tell me. He was there.
But Henning can't rest easy, as his teammate Gigi Gali is just under 6 seconds behind him in 4th. The Italian's the only non-Scandinavian in the top 6, but he loves driving on the snow and the ice. Hedda Solberg won the opening stage, but then struggled to match the speed of the Fords. He starts today in 5th. Mats Osberg in a privateer Subaru made the most of a good road position and was as high as 4th before losing time later in the day. He's 6th. So after 8 stages, Ford hold the top 4 positions. Brit Matthew Wilson had a steady opening day and starts today in an impressive 7th place. Tony Gardemeister had transmission problems with his Suzuki all day, but still starts 8th. Day 2 is made up of 6 stages, totaling just over 120 competitive kilometres. And they could prove even trickier than yesterday, as the temperatures have risen again, and that will mean more soft snowbanks and more ruts and gravel. The unseasonably mild weather continues then, so expect another tricky day. The thick fog, another hazard to overcome. After his remarkable run on day 1, Jari-Matti Latvala knows his first ever win is now a very real possibility. The Horshon stage is another new addition and is the most southerly of the weekend, so there's already a lot of gravel showing through the ice. Jari-Matti safely on his way into stage 9 then. Next up is his Ford teammate Mikko Hirvonen. Few expected Mikko to be so soundly beaten by his less experienced compatriot, certainly not the man himself. He's over 48 seconds behind coming into this stage, so if he has any hopes of keeping the pressure on, the fight back needs to begin now. It's a narrow and twisty road here to get day 2 underway, and Henrik Solberg is searching for the fastest lines as he attempts to match the speed of Hirvonen.
150 over lang krøm.
The Norwegian was just 8.1 seconds behind before this stage, and the split times have looked promising so far in here. Back with Mikko, and he'll be concentrating on trying to put some pressure on his teammate, but he'll also have half an eye on the split times coming from the charging Solberg. But there is a late problem for Henning. He's clearly struggling through these last few corners of stage 9, and as he nears the stage finish, he's going to be a lot slower than Hirvonen. That not a good start to the day. He's 17.8 seconds slower than Mikko. Henning is not a happy man. And let's find out what his problem was.
Henning has a puncture there. How far have you driven on it?
5 kilometers, so I lost a lot, I'm sure.
Oh. Was it a cut too much, taking too many risks?
No, we don't know what's under the snow, and everyone have been in the same corner, so I don't know.
Oh.
Solberg's delay could also provide an opportunity for his Stobart VK teammate Gigi Gali. Coming into this stage, he was just 5.7 seconds behind, and with Solberg clearly losing a lot of time with that puncture, Gigi should claim third place here. Yes, Gali replaces his teammate in the final podium place. He's now 8 seconds ahead.
Gigi, Henning had a puncture in here, so you're now up to third place. It's a good start.
Yes, I think so, because my engineer this morning say you are wake up well, because in Monte Carlo we had a bad starting in the second day, and it was scaring. But okay, we try to drive a little bit safe and not sleeping. I must be happy.
Using virtual spectator here, we can see there was very little between the three men fighting for second early on. At the 7.4 kilometre split time, Gali had the edge. He was just 1/10 of a second ahead of Henning, with Hirvonen 1.7 seconds further back. But just look at the difference at the end of the stage. Hirvonen finishing strongly, over 4 seconds faster than Gali, while Henning was left limping towards the finish line on that puncture and loses almost half a minute. And it's becoming an unlucky stage for the Norwegians. Henning's compatriot Mats Osberg went off, and that caused a puncture of his own. He loses 9.5 minutes and plummets down the leaderboard. In contrast, though, it's been a good stage for Britain's Matthew Wilson. The third Stobart driver has been quietly and consistently going about his business, and following Osberg's disastrous run in stage 9, he's now into the top 6. Behind Wilson, Tony Gardemeister is now up to 7th, with another Norwegian replacing Osberg in the top 8. Andreas Mikkelsen moves into the final point-scoring place. Up ahead, Gali and Henning Solberg have swapped places, and Latvala has extended his advantage over Hirvonen. A great start for Jari-Matti Latvala, but even better for Gali, who's third, but only just. There's more from day 2 in Sweden after the break. Welcome back to the second day of the Swedish Rally, where Ford's Jari-Matti Latvala has continued to dominate ahead of his teammate Mikko Hirvonen and the Stobart Fords of Gigi Gali and Henning Solberg. The next 2 stages are further north, so there should be more snow here, and the rally leader Latvala will be relieved to be driving on slightly better conditions. He's showing no sign of easing off. Jari-Matti beats his teammate by another 9 seconds in stage 10. Henning Solberg is also attacking hard. The Norwegian frustratingly lost third place due to a puncture on the opening stage of the day, and he's working hard to make up the time. He beats his teammate Gigi Gali by 4.7 seconds in stage 10, so it's game on in this tussle for third. Henning is now just 3.3 seconds behind. Mikko Hirvonen perhaps as much concerned with the pace of the Stobart Fords as he is about keeping the pressure on his teammate, finally wakes up in stage 11. He sets the second fastest time and makes up over 8 seconds on Latvala, although any hopes of claiming a win will be dwindling with every passing stage. And rejoining Henning Solberg now as he attempts to continue chasing down his teammate Gali. Again in stage 11, he's giving it as much as he dares on the technical Vargassen stage.
6 venstre min, lang, nyper, hold in, 60. Flat 6 høyre, 200.
Oh, he's into a big slide here. A very, very heavy impact for Henning, and that is the end of his challenge for a podium spot.
the ice started melting from the ground, so it was very slippery on this part. But you have to be flat out. You cannot lose any seconds here and there. So I get too wide in this corner and hit the bridge on the inside. So it's a shame because I think we were in front of Galle again. So, but this is the part of the game.
It's a disappointing moment for the Stobart Ford team, but it does relieve the pressure off their other driver, Gigi Gali. He may not yet know about his teammate's fate, but the warnings from spectators here will indicate that something has happened. And when he passes Henning's stranded car, he knows his position is now safe. For the first time today, Gigi's free to ease off and concentrate on conserving his tyres on these deteriorating roads. It's been a quiet rally, meanwhile, for Solberg Jr. Petter may not have been able to stay with the Fords who've been dominating the weekend so far, but driving his own rally and keeping the car on the road has begun to pay dividends. He's now in a very secure-looking 4th place. Almost a minute and a half behind the former world champion is Matthew Wilson.
80. Slight left 10, right 5 plus.
He'll be hoping to score as many points finishes as he can in what's now his 3rd full season, and he's looking good to achieve that aim in Sweden. With Tony Gardemeister now potentially up to 6th with Henning Solberg off the road, it's also looking like another good weekend for WRC newcomers Suzuki.
Ehkä usko, 9 huomio vasen, jarru 7 pitkä vasen eri. 9 huomio vasen eri miinus jarru 2.
But it's a big spin for Tony as well. He loses 4 minutes and falls to 10th. Danny Sordo had almost been forgotten about after starting the rally with a 5-minute time penalty for an engine change before the event started. The Spaniards avoided the mayhem that's descended on this year's Swedish Rally though, and remarkably moves up from 11th to 7th on stage 11. The top 3 remain the same, but behind them everyone else moves up a place. Petter Solberg replacing his brother in 4th with Wilson up to 5th. Swedish driver Patrick Sandell is now up to 8th in a Super 2000 Peugeot 207. But rally leader Latvala now heads back to remote service in Hagfors.
Jari-Matti, have you been feeling like you're in control of what's happening out there?
Yes, I have a feeling that I'm controlling the driving, but basically still anything can happen. I mean, in the last stage, very start of the stage, we hit the rock and damaged the wheel, but luckily the tire was all right. So anything can happen.
The plan was to attack a little bit in the morning, but I don't know. I just didn't have a good feeling. It didn't go like I was planning, so I didn't. In the end, I didn't push so hard. But then in the last stage, I found the rhythm a little bit, and that one came quite easily. So I just try to keep it like that now.
What was wrong with the first 2 stages?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I know Henning is all the time pushing, and it's also last year went very good. And we tried to keep a good pace this morning, and we tried to keep control him by our split. And after that he had a puncture, and we went in front of him.
Yeah, we just spun on the stage very early of the stage. One wheel was off the road, and it takes a long time to get out from there. I don't know what the people was doing there. There was a lot of spectators, but maybe everybody was pushing wrong way.
Immediately following the remote service, the crews are all held at the regroup as the lack of snow in stage 12 after the first run through has forced the organisers to cancel the second running. So it's straight on to stage 13 then, where the roads have held up a bit better. And for Jari-Matti Latvala, it's been another terrific day so far. Oh, but a big slide there. He's still attacking very hard despite his huge lead. And that was a scary moment. Oh, and now he's collided with a hay bale. A wild few hundred metres for the Ford driver. His young teammate is looking a bit ragged, but Mikko Hirvonen has long since decided not to risk a foolhardy pursuit of his fellow countryman. Lots of water and slush around here. He's not involved in a real battle, but concentration levels need to be maintained at all times in these slippery conditions.
Lyhyt vasen jarru, heti oikein tosi hidas kirra, ahdas portti ja maali.
And next on the road is Italy's finest, Gigi Gali. The Stobart driver is one of the best around on snow and ice. He's competed here 7 times before, his best result coming 2 years ago with a 4th place finish. This is the Hagfors stage and features some of the fastest sections of the entire rally, and Gigi in full flow is a truly spectacular sight.
Doppio tassino dritto, 70, occhio, sinistra 4, lunga, chiude poco, occhio. 4, lunga, chiude poco. E sinistra su tassino.
Peter Solberg is over a minute adrift of the Stobart man. You can clearly see how rutted these roads are becoming now. It's a good job most of these drivers have little need to push, as with the gravel base now revealed, it's becoming a very tricky event. Petter is 4th fastest on stage 13. Further back, Norwegian youngster Andreas Mikkelsen is beginning to build a challenge on the 5th place of Matthew Wilson. With the 6th fastest time in this stage, he's close to within 16 seconds of the British driver. That is now the closest battle in the top 8. Danny Sordo remains in 7th, over 2 minutes adrift of Mikkelsen, but up front Latvala retains his lead of almost a minute despite his brushes with disaster in that stage. Hirvonen is 2nd, over half a minute ahead of Gigi Gali. Jari-Matti Latvala leads here in Sweden, but he's proved just how treacherous this rally can be. Stay with us for the final stage of day 2. Welcome back to day 2 of the Swedish Rally. The World Rally Championship is the most diverse motorsport in the world. And nowhere is this more obvious than here in Sweden, where Khalid Al-Qassimi has left the comforts of Abu Dhabi for the frozen forests around Hagfors. He comes from a place where there's desert, not snow, where the water is warm, not frozen, and where the mode of transport is more likely to be a luxury yacht than a skidoo. This is going to be a whole new experience.
I've never driven in the snow. I mean, few times just normal driving and a little bit of testing. So this completely different, more sliding, different braking points, accelerating points. So for sure it's different.
So what is he hoping for here in Sweden?
Number one is not to go off. That's my big aim, because, you know, I don't want to be disappointed by going off, and it's easy to go off over here, especially with no snow banks, because, you know, the temperature is just, there's no snow banks, easy you can go off with a narrow road. That's the big aim, is not to go off, and if I just keep the car on the track, hopefully, try to do a good pace where I start learning every kilometer.
But it's proved to be a baptism of fire for the Emeritian. He survived day 1, but today he's been off on stages 9, 10 and 13. But he is still going, and this rally is all about experience. Sebastian Loeb began the day super rallying and set a couple of fastest times, but the Frenchman is not used to rallying for manufacturer points and said he'd rather be at home. And the final straw for Seb came as he was stopped for speeding on his way to the midday service, where he decided to retire. Morava is another driver to be super rallying today after an off yesterday. It's the Estonian's first time in the C4 and only his second drive here in Sweden, so he's keen to gather as much experience as possible. Comrade Rautermack is another privateer driving a Citroen. He's in the old Zara and has also had an eventful rally. The Zimbabwean went off on the road section on the way to the very first stage today, earning himself a 2-minute penalty for being late into the stage. Fortunately, he's negotiated the stages with a little more success. Plenty going on up and down the leaderboard then. Back to the action at the sharp end now though, and there's just one more stage to come on day 2, the second run through the spectacular Vargassen test. Jari-Matti Latvala is on course to make history. If Ford's number 2 can hang on, he'll become the youngest ever driver to win a world rally. The previous holder was fellow Finn Henry Toivonen, who won the 1980 Rally GB aged 24. A couple of months shy of his 23rd birthday, Latvala is on course to beat that record by 2 years. A huge jump over Colin's crest from Mikko Hirvonen. That crest was named after the late great Colin McRae in recognition of some gravity-defying antics by the Scottish driver in the mid-90s. Hirvonen signs off the day in style, beating Latvala by 5.5 seconds.
Oikein loiva pidä. Vasen eri käännä 4. Nyppy vasen laita täys 5. Lyhyt oikein loiva. Huomio. Nyppy vasen laita.
And it's Gigi Ghali's turn next to take on the final stage of the day. And the Italian is never one to back off as he approaches the famous crest.
Occhio, inganna, sinistra 6 su dosso salta. In destra via. 30.
A typically committed display from Gigi. He's 6th fastest on this stage and looking good to claim his first Swedish podium finish. While Peter Solberg on current form is on course to claim a podium at the next event in Mexico. 5th in Monte Carlo, he's on course to claim 4th here in Sweden, so if the pattern continues, 3rd place will be his on round 3. And all this in a car that's at the limit of its development.
6 right plus keep in, 20 neat 5 left right and 3 plus rail outside. Opens 100. Right to 6 right minus, arm long, tightens keep in. And 6 left minus long, tightens the boot, opens 80, keep left over crest, 40, 5 right tightens.
Matt Wilson, meanwhile, continues to come under pressure from Andreas Mikkelsen. He's slower again on the final stage of the day, and now just 10.5 seconds ahead of the young Norwegian. After a torrid day, though, Khalid Al-Qasimi does finish on a positive note. With a jump over Colin's crest, 36 metres long, he wins a competition set up by the organisers in memory of McRae. The biggest prize of the weekend, though, is still set to be won by Finland's Jari-Matti Latvala. He goes into the final overnight break just under 50 seconds ahead of Hirvonen. Ghali's 3rd with Peter Solberg still over a minute behind the podium positions. But for Latvala, there's time to contemplate his first WRC victory.
Jari-Matti, 6 stages away from your very first win.
Well, it's getting in a very exciting moment now, but okay, I don't want to think about it too much and just concentrate for tomorrow as we have been doing today, and let's see what happens.
A little bit nervous?
Of course, a little bit. Actually, I was a little bit nervous when I woke up this morning and going to the first stage, but always when you get to the start line, you know, the excitement disappears and you just full concentration for the driving.
You are battling with the conditions.
Yeah, conditions are really bad, and just when the temperature is so high, it's +5 or +2, stages are just not hard enough to be driven twice, so one time that would be enough.
Gigi, you're on course for your first podium in 2 years.
Tomorrow is still 6 stage to go, and we must be very concentrated and very safe.
Lavela looks on course to become the youngest ever WRC winner here in Sweden. To catch up on all the day's events, check out WRC.com. Tomorrow looks like it will be another dramatic day, so see you then.